Sorry. I got triggered. Don't like me, Hibbs. Don't like me. Don't like me, tweets. Okay. Don't trigger me. Isn't get off the couch a common phrase anyways? Yeah, but he's clearly referring to that. That's why that's what their joke is about. I saw a B2. What's the one with the spooky looking one? Oh yeah. I saw one of these flying like a year ago. It was weird. I didn't know why. No, 2 years ago. I think I was in California. I saw it fly. I was like, the f***? I've never seen that plane before. They don't make any noise when they fly, right? They're just like silent. Or maybe it's because maybe all planes that high are silent, I guess. Because it's not like I hear commercial planes fly, right? They're loud. Oh, okay. Then maybe it was just really high up, I guess. I don't know. Check out this F-35 video. Very cool. Do we have other technology to spot stuff in the air besides radar? There must be something more sophisticated at this point than just shooting radar waves and looking for them to bounce back or some bullshit, right? There's got to be something better.
Never flown an aeroplane like this, where you can control the motion of the aeroplane so precisely.
I'm not sure we've even scratched the surface yet of what this airplane, when it's operating with other F-35s, is going to be able to do.
The F-35B is arguably the most advanced plane ever made. A jack of all trades, a stealth fighter plane, combining and improving.
God, people, I wish you guys could have been on the internet like 7 or 8 years ago before Lockheed, right, finished this project. People shat on these planes so much because of how delayed and expensive this project was getting. Oh my God.
On the capabilities of the F-16, AV-8B Harrier, and the B-2, a highly maneuverable fighter plane capable of attacking both airborne and ground-based targets. A stealth fighter taking the lessons learned from Lockheed's previous ventures into stealth with the F-22 Raptor and the F-117 Nighthawk. A plane fitted with the most advanced sensors and computer systems, sharing information almost instantly with allies without compromising stealth, and presenting the information directly on a heads-up display on the pilot's helmet visor, giving unparalleled situational awareness, allowing a flight of F-35s to effectively fight as a hive mind. Perhaps most boldly of all, the F-35B is capable of transitioning from horizontal to vertical flight with a push of a...
I do not know. I do not understand how the fuck any pilot ever returns to ordinary civilian life. I feel like probably of literally any potential job that has ever existed in all of human history, this is probably the closest job you would ever have to being like a god or a superhero or something. Like there's nothing on the planet that gives you the amount of freedom, speed, like just those two things. Freedom and speed to move anywhere. It's so fast. It's just got to be so crazy. An astronaut? Not even close. Astronauts are more restricted than fucking commercial pilots. What? I mean, what? We're gonna take a different route through the atmosphere here. It's a little stormy.
Button, using directional thrust and a massive vertical turbofan engine hidden within the plane's body, making it possible to land like a helicopter on the relatively small amphibious...
Oh shit, they really do have these. I thought that we had vertical... there's an abbreviation for it that would make me sound more fancy, but the Harrier things did vertical takeoff, but I thought these planes were like nightmares. Like after the Harrier, people were like, no more vertical takeoff engines. It's too expensive. The maintenance is crazy. It just breaks down all the time. It's unreliable as fuck. VTOL.
Assault ships.
But I guess those are older planes, so maybe.
Of the US Marines. This is the insane engineering of the F-35B.
Is this a car driver brain thing? I just feel nauseous about the idea of managing a plane. I feel like I wonder if you feel less nauseous if you're controlling things. I really don't like being the passenger in a car, and I really don't like being the passenger in a car with an aggressive driver. I don't feel comfortable at all. But I'm a very aggressive driver, and I love being a driver when I'm an aggressive driver. It's the most fun thing in the world. But I think if I had to be my passenger, I think I would fucking hate it. So I don't know. Maybe I wonder if it's the same thing with for planes or whatever. Yeah. Does space travel affect the human body at all? I think the two negative things about space travel are, one, because you're in a I triggered myself in the future. Jesus. Fuck. It's the Vyvanse. I'm a new I can see into the future. Sorry. I was going to say there are two big concerns, I think, when you're in space. I was just about to say the first concern is you're in a zero-G environment, and then somebody in chat was about to type, actually, it's not technically zero-G. You're just in a geocentric orbit, and gravity's still impacting you. You're just on a free... somebody was already typing that. I could see it. I'm like, kill yourself. This is obviously, you know what I'm talking about. Somebody was already... Whoever you are, just leave my community forever. Whoever was going to type... You were probably already typing that up as soon as I brought up two problems. I know you were out there. Just leave my community forever. RTBA, you have my permission to do a lottery and ban two people at random, and hopefully those are the two that we're going to type. I know you're out there. But I think one is that because you're in a zero-G environment, I think that astronauts always have problems with, I don't think it's bone density. I think it's just muscle atrophy in general. Like astronauts have like these, I think I don't want to say sophisticated, but they do like a lot of workouts and shit in space to try to stave off that issue. But I think every time astronauts come back to Earth from an extended stay in the ISS, they always have like muscle problems and maybe bone density problems or some bullshit. I think there's like some issue with that. That's one thing. And then the second thing is, I don't know if this was real or not. I've never read this before. I guess we can Google it because we have the whole fucking internet available to us. I thought at one point there was an issue that the Earth's atmosphere protects you from gamma radiation. That like these itty bitty like microscopic gamma particles, would you say? Electrons moving at a certain speed, that these things like shoot off from the sun sometimes. So I believe that gamma radiation is, would you say, highly ionizing or highly, it'll fuck you up kind of, but it gets absorbed very, very, very easily. So like the atmosphere would absorb it very easily. But when you're in space, apparently these things could shoot through you and like kill some cells or something. I don't know if that's true. I feel like I heard this at one point. The more I say this though, it sounds like it's not true. Would a single photon passing through your body do any measurable damage whatsoever? Even if it was like, hold on. I feel like that's not true. Gamma rays, astronauts. Okay, well. A single high-energy photon, i.e. from a supernova, can destroy DNA. Really? Would it, though? One photon would destroy an entire... Because DNA, that's a lot of things. You got that's a big combination of lots of big old molecules in just one photon going through. Maybe, but it might be if there's like way more. You guys keep saying it can cause mutations. Mutations happen all the time. You have error correcting shit all over your DNA. Yeah, lots of things cause mutations. Like one mutation shouldn't kill you or cause anything bad to happen. I mean, it could theoretically, obviously. Welcome to cancer, but there could be, maybe there are lots of gamma rays if it keeps happening, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. These are the two things that I hear brought up for astronauts. Zero-G environment means you get bone density problems and muscle atrophy problems. I don't know if atrophy is the right word, but your muscles just aren't used and they become cringe. And then you're exposed to radiation in outer space that the atmosphere is not protecting you from. So that might represent a unique concern. I don't know how much the radiation impacts you or if that's a bad thing or not, but... If a gamma ray hits you in the exact right place, it can set off a chain reaction that will make you gay.
Fitting all these capabilities into a single airframe is an extremely difficult task. Designing for stealth demands careful molding of the exterior of the plane, dictating the design of crucial features, creating unavoidable trade-offs. There are a lot of misconceptions about stealth. The goal isn't to make the aircraft invisible. It will be detectable. The goal is to delay...
The goal is... Oh, fuck, he already started saying it. I was going to guess something different, though. It sounds like he's going to say the goal is to delay how long until they can detect it, figure out it was aircraft. I thought the goal was to not make it undetectable, but make it so that it basically looks like other shit in the air around it. So you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between like a bird and a plane. I'll take the L.
The goal isn't to make the aircraft invisible. It will be detectable. The goal is to delay enemy detection for as long as possible. For bomber aircraft, it shrinks the range of the enemy's radar stations, potentially opening gaps in radar defenses and allowing the aircraft to slip through undetected. For fighter aircraft, it provides...
Is totally not Mark narrating this? This doesn't sound anything like him. Are you crazy?
And allowing the aircraft to slip through undetected. For fighter aircraft, it provides a critical advantage. Detect your enemy before they detect you. To gain these advantages, we need to make it harder for the radar receiver to decipher whether the return signal is just background noise.
I don't care if he's got a Dublin accent. It doesn't sound anything like him. Not even close.
Or an enemy aircraft. To do that, we need to minimize the strength of the return signal. There are several mechanisms for a radar wave to be reflected. The most significant and most obvious way is through spectral return, otherwise known as regular reflection, like a mirror, where the angle of reflection equals the angle of incidence. We want to avoid large, flat surfaces that could reflect straight back to the radar receiver. Corner reflectors where two surfaces are set at a 90-degree angle to each other need to be avoided at all costs. Tailplanes consisting of the vertical and horizontal stabilizer are the perfect surfaces to create a corner reflector, allowing radar to bounce off both surfaces and return right back in the direction it came. The best way to avoid this is to remove the tail completely, like the B-2, but this impacts maneuverability greatly. Instead, we can
Look at how weird that plane is.
like the B-2.
Damn. What is the crew size for this? How big is this in here?
But this impacts maneuverability greatly.
Also, do B-2s ever can these fire missiles or like guided munitions ever? Or do they just like drop like unguided munitions?
Instead, we can replace both the horizontal and vertical stabilizer with a V-tail, as seen on the F-117 Nighthawk. The V-tail can act as
crew of 2 people. Gotcha. Damn. What were the huge bombers that they flew in World War II? Is it B-29? Is this what I'm thinking? These things were fucking massive. These just... Oh, wait. B-52? These things are... Oh, my God. Look at this big boy.
Thanks to Squarespace and Cutting Edge. Just like your business should with a Squarespace website.
Thank you.
Ending with the turbofan
Look at this guy.
B-52H, which is the variant...
I thought B-52s were Cold War. What were the planes that were dropping bombs like over Dresden and shit? Were those not... and like bombing Japan and stuff. Oh, these weren't made by then. Oh, B-17? How do you guys know all the Bs, man? Did I miss a YouTube video on this? Wingspan, F-16. 33 feet. Who said that? Fuck you. What was the length of the plane?
Wingspan of 103 1 inches tall.
Fuck, did he say it?
And on the
F-16 length. 50 feet. Wait until he finds out about the C-5. What's the C-5? Another big boy plane? This is the plane my mom flew. I think it's an EC-135. It might have been relabeled. No. EC-130? No. Maybe? Is it KC-135? Oh, it might be KC.
This is the KC-135
This plane is big too. Jesus.
Strato tanker, and at first
I think at the SAC Museum in Omaha, they have one of these you can walk through.
it's actually me right there in the blue beanie hat, so
time.
Now, it's hard to believe that this aircraft has been flying for almost 70 years and is projected to fly until it...
No, it was the EC-135. I thought it was the EC-135. Like, I think the KC-135 was the ordinary one, and then the EC-135 was the looking glass one. I don't remember. We looked this up a long time ago. I don't fucking remember. Are we on kick? No. Okay. I wonder why my YouTube does that sometimes. Okay, we don't need this shit today. Why did I open this video?
No aircraft in history.
SR-72?
Turbine.
No one cares. With the new Supreme Court ruling giving presidents immunity and presumptive innocence, can presidents ever be impeached due to high crimes and misdemeanors? Yes, the Supreme Court ruling only has to do with criminal things. Impeachment is not a criminal proceeding. Are you stuck in this like the whole fucking ride? Jesus. He said the ball turret gunner was the most shit job on the plane because 1, you were exposed to being shot at, and 2, if the plane got shot down, you couldn't get loose to parachute. You went down with the plane.
War. Out of the entire crew, the most endangered were the machine gunners housed in overexposed emplacements. One emplacement in particular carried the greatest risk, the position of the underbelly ball turret gunner. Ball turrets were originally not part of the B-17's defense system. In the beginning,
they must have radios or something to like communicate with the plane, right?
The bottom of the bomber was protected by a remote-controlled version, which was quite a complex and troublesome system. Only from the 113th aircraft onwards did Boeing engineers begin to install the much better Sperry ball turret. The Sperry ball turret was a remarkably good, practical design. It was a spherical chamber made of aluminum and plexiglass attached to the fuselage at the aft section. Manned and electrically operated, the turret moved very quickly. It could revolve a full 360 degrees and pitch down to a 90-degree angle. With such features, it covered the entire area below the aircraft. It was attached to the fuselage by a shaft.
High risk, high reward. Think of the glory of mowing down dipshit Nazis. I mean, it's not like you saw any of the people you killed, right? You just shoot and then you fly by and hopefully they're dead, right? It's not like you know, right?
With a hydraulic pump that allowed it to retract into the aircraft. This was done in case of an emergency landing without using the landing gear. The B-17's ball turret was armed with two 50 caliber AM-M2 Browning machine guns firing 700 to 850 rounds per minute. Each machine gun was belt-fed from 2 ammo boxes placed inside the fuselage. The turret made...
Could they resupply you with ammo above at least? Or when you ran out of bullets, you're just like stuck there? Imagine how boring that would be. Imagine you're on like a 15-hour mission and you're like 2 hours in and you've used all your ammo and you're like, fuck.
Had been well designed, but was claustrophobic.
Do you think they were allowed to like bring books or something?
Claustrophobic at only 4 feet in diameter. Inside there were 2 hand controls for turning and pitching, both with electrical firing buttons. There was also a seat, a computing K4 gun sight, and a set of ancillary equipment.
I don't think they had fuel for that long of a run. I have no idea how long these could fly for. I don't know.
The dimensions of the turret required a gunner of very small stature.
I don't know if these could refuel in flight. These probably, I guess their missions were probably only a few hours long, huh?
Stature. Even then, the only way to fit inside was to curl up in the fetal position. The gunner was in such a position that he had to aim through the sight between his knees. In this highly uncomfortable position, the gunner used both his hands to control the movement of the turret and feet to adjust the sight. Spending hours...
Keep in mind, okay, hold on, because a lot of you guys are younger, okay? Keep in mind for a lot of you Zoomer fucks, all right? The world was a lot more boring a long time ago, all right? You guys look at things like, that couldn't have been that bad. We didn't have cell phones, all right? We didn't have cell phones. Remember that.
Hours in this position at very low temperatures was difficult as it was, on top of the task of swiveling around in combat and focusing on shooting enemy aircraft. It took a lot of guts to enter the turret and face the enemy in the skies. Entering the weapons system was conducted from inside the aircraft. The entry hatch was positioned opposite the machine guns. In order to open it, the gunner had to manually turn the turret
Not even that bad.
until the hatch was positioned inside the aircraft. It was never manned during takeoffs and landings for safety reasons, only when the aircraft was in the air. Even then, the gunner had to be careful. Entering the turret consisted of several predefined steps, and if the gunner failed to follow these orders, it led to injuries and even fatal accidents. Outside the turret, the gunner was completely exposed to enemy fire, especially since most of the fire was coming from below. Fighter planes attacking a bomber preferred doing it from below, as this section of the bomber was the least protected. Additionally, anti-aircraft fire was also coming from below.
The thing that I'm already preemptively mad at
Alrighty, so we have now...
is that if Trump loses this election and disappears, all of these fucking conservatives are going to be allowed to continue on like nothing ever happened. Like they weren't actually just cheerleading on the craziest fucking guy in the history of the universe. I'm like preemptively triggered over it.
Seen the debut of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on the national...
Wait, hold on. 1 second. Before I watch this. Ooh.
stage, and we saw Kamala. Alrighty, so we have now seen the debut of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on the national stage, and we saw Kamala Harris introduce him. So obviously, very, very high energy event. Kamala Harris is bringing out gigantic crowds. Democrats are, in fact, enthused. They brought out Josh Shapiro for a little bit of a consolation run. He yelled a bit, and his voice broke, and he talked a little bit about being Jewish, which gave Democrats cover to ignore the fact that the explicit reason they did not pick him is because he's a Jew. And then
What will happen if Trump loses? Will he fade away? No one knows, my dude. We'll see what happens.
And Kamala Harris did an entire speech in which she really didn't talk about politics very much. It was just mostly about unity. She actually tried to channel Barack Obama / 2008, circa 2008. She was talking about red states and blue states. She was talking about how she was going to govern for all Americans. And then she gave you the background on Tim Walz. And apparently, according to Kamala Harris, the relevant stuff about Tim Walz is not that he presided over the burning down of Minneapolis and, in his own words, abjectly failed to stop that from happening. It's not that he has praised socialism. It's not that he's blown out the budget to the tune of a 40% increase in the last year. It's not that he has presided over extraordinary fraud in the state of Minnesota. Of course, you wouldn't expect her to say any of those things. It's that if you go back far enough, he was a high school football coach. And don't you know, he's a teacher and a high school football. He's basically Mr. Feeney, but more athletic. He's like Ed Asner, avuncular, moderate, just one of the boys. You know, a guy who can crack a beer and can shoot a rifle, but is also really, really in favor of gun control and transing the kids. That's basically the pitch in favor of Tim Walz. So she does this routine. These rallies are incredibly well choreographed. I will say that. They are very well choreographed. She calls for a chant, and a chant goes up. First Democratic rally I've seen for a while where people start actually cheering USA. And why are they cheering USA? Because she says, what an amazing country this is. What an incredible country where a person like me.
Hey, Dustin, I was wondering what your view is on adoption, and do you think it can get better with Kamala? I think it could help our homeless and economy. Are you asking, are those connected or are those separate? Do you think adoption could help with our homeless and economy? Like people should be adopting homeless people? I don't understand what that, if those two things are supposed to be connected or not.
First Democratic rally I've seen for a while where people start actually cheering USA. And why are they cheering USA? Because she says, what an amazing country this is. What an incredible country where a person like me, middle-class person, or Tim Walz, middle-class person, can become the president and vice president of the United States. Now, I agree with that. But she doesn't agree with that. She believes that America is systemically racist. So does Tim Walz. Tim Walz said back in 2000.
You understand that these things aren't mutually exclusive, right? Like you can think that like, wow, this is a great country. This is so cool that we can do awesome things here. And we have problems and we can work to fix them. Like they're not even mutually exclusive. What?
20, that he believes that those riots were a reflection of the great evil that America represented. And yet here they are doing the unity routine. And that's what is so false about all of this, is this idea that these folks are real reminders of what brings us together, that what they are really interested in more than anything else is governing for all Americans. They are radically to the left. This is why the Trump campaign has a moral obligation to remind the American people that these people are radically to the left. Okay, so that's all the intro to Tim Walz. Then Tim Walz gets up, and he's quite good. I mean, let's just be frank about this. Tim Walz gives a speech, and the speech is avuncular, and it's charming. He's smiling the whole time. He doesn't look uncomfortable smiling.
Oh, no.
He attacks J.D. Vance. He attacks Donald Trump, of course. The lowest point of the speech is his attempt to signal to his base that he'll take the gloves off with J.D. Vance. He makes some sort of dumb joke about J.D. Vance getting up off the couch, which is supposed to be a joke about a meme that was going around the internet.
That's a dumb joke. Never mind the 50 trillion fucking nicknames and jokes and inappropriate comments and sayings and tweets and everything else from Donald Trump.
About a false passage that doesn't exist in Hillbilly Elegy. Supposedly J.D. Vance having some sort of sexual relationship with the couch is really stupid, but it's become a Democrat meme, and now you've got the vice presidential contender who's actually...
Is it an American thing to call a woman by her first name, Kamala instead of Harris? In France, it would be insulting. I don't know how to explain this, but in America, it's very much just like a vibe thing. Just some people go by their first name, and some people go by their last name. I don't know why. I don't know if there's like a pattern to it. It's just like, we vibe on that a lot. Actually, now I'm wondering if it is, fuck, I think it actually might be sexist. Okay, here's my thought, and then I'm not sure. I wonder if I wonder if when you say the last name, it's assumed that the last name is the husband's name. So then you have to say the first name if you're specifying a woman. So for instance, oh, remember Clinton? You mean Hillary? Or Bill Clinton, right? However, I wonder if it's actually just like a vestige of sexism, and it's more just whoever's popular first is the one whose name you would use. So I don't think you would usually say Amy. I think you'd say Klobuchar, but it's because nobody knows who her husband is. Or you wouldn't say Elizabeth. You'd probably say Warren, or you'd say Elizabeth Warren because nobody knows who her husband is. But then for Kamala Harris, I don't know why we don't say Harris. Maybe because Harris is a common, boring name or something. Nobody, yeah, you don't really say Nancy. You would say either Pelosi or Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I'm not sure. No, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Throwing that out there in public. Wink, not.
Bernie Sanders was Bernie. Pete Buttigieg was Pete. But he had a weirdest name. Yeah, I don't know.
He even stopped and said, you can see what I'm doing there. And that's the whole idea here. Meanwhile, don't worry, he's bringing Americans together. Now, at no point were the challenges that actually face the country ever brought up. The challenges, apparently, according to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the big challenges are that Obamacare might get repealed.
If you said Pelosi or Cortez, we'd instantly know who it's about. I disagree with that. If you said Cortez, I think people would think of the fucking Spanish conquistadors or whatever the fuck. If somebody said like, oh, you know Cortez, that politician is crazy. Cortez? You mean Gomez from the Addams family? I think you would say either AOC or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or you'd say AOC. I don't think you would ever say, I've never in my life. Oh yeah, people in chat didn't know I meant Cortez, or yeah, AOC, yeah, I don't think so. Or you'd say Ocasio-Cortez, but I think you would just say Alexandria. I think you would just say AOC. I think you would just say AOC, yeah. Which is kind of weird. We're literally using somebody's initials.
That's like the big challenge. The big challenge is that Donald Trump might ban abortion, which, of course, he has said he is not going to do and has no interest in doing. At no point was there any talk about fixing the economy. Apparently, the big threat to the economy is the Donald Trump tax cuts, according to Tim Walz. And if those tax cuts were to continue, people might be able to keep more of their own money.
Oh, JFK.
And that is a serious, serious problem. Meanwhile, you have Kamala Harris out there. No mention of the fact the Middle East is on fire. No mention of foreign policy. No mention of exactly why the Biden administration seems to have taken the side of Iran in the Middle East. None of that, of course. No serious dealing with issues. And that is...
Yeah? Is that a thing? Are we going to help Iran bomb Israel? Is that okay?
Is the theme of this campaign. In the end, that's the theme of this campaign. Ignore everything. Ignore all of the activities of the Biden campaign and the Biden-Harris administration. Ignore all of it. Ignore Tim Walz's tenure as governor. Ignore all of it. They are casting a TV show. And in this TV show, you have the very charming Kamala Harris, who apparently is filled with joy. That's the other thing that we learned here. So you got the words unity and you got a lot of joy. According to Tim Walz, Kamala Harris is not weird. Right? That crazy laughter, that stuff, not weird. That's joy. The weird dancing and the strange motions, that's not weird. That's joy. And if you don't understand that it's joy, it's because you don't understand joy. Okay, so again, all of this is pablum. It's crap. It's insulting crap for people who actually follow politics. But what I fear is the most...
Who actually follows politics right now, Ben? The sad thing is I don't even know from a policy position. I don't even know if I'm even that aligned with the Harris Walz campaign. But like we don't even have policy. We have no real... We don't have a multipolar policy world in the U.S. right now. It's literally just the Democrats kind of have policy, but they have to fight on these weird sociocultural grounds with conservatives because we have no conservative party right now in the United States. I have no idea what the fuck the policy is in the upcoming election. I don't know if we'll ever talk about it for real ever.
Most Americans do not follow politics, and this is why, once again, it is incumbent on the Trump campaign to remind Americans of who these people are. Nobody has ever heard of Tim Walz. They don't know that he presided over the burning down of Minneapolis. They do not understand that Tim Walz...
The funniest thing about Ben repeating this is journalists have been replaying the... I think the Harris campaign tweeted this out.
The other thing...
9 minutes, bruh. Oh, and she even has Ben's fucking video about it.
Moderate. Just one of the boys. You know, a guy who can crack a beer and can shoot a rifle.
Happened. Take a listen.
I know Governor Walz is on the phone, and we spoke, and I fully agree with the way he handled it the last couple of days. I asked him to do that, and the whole world was laughing. 2 days, 3 days later, I spoke to the governor. The governor's, I think, on the call, and he's an excellent guy.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back.
Wait, that wasn't even... Was that the whole clip? Hold on.
Governor Walz.
Okay, I don't know why that was cut there.
I know Governor Walz is on the phone, and we spoke, and I fully agree with the way he handled it the last couple of days. I asked him to do that, and the whole world was laughing. 2 days, 3 days later, I spoke to the governor. The governor's, I think, on the call, and he's an excellent guy. You've got a big National Guard out there that's ready to come in and fight like hell. I tell you, what they did in Minneapolis was incredible. They went in and dominated. And it happened immediately. Tim is on the phone now, Tim Walz. Again, I was very happy with the last couple of days, Tim. You called up big numbers, and the big numbers knocked them out so fast, it was like bowling pins.
Our city is grieving and in pain. And I would just say, as far as the potential, the peaceful protesters who are expressing an outrage that is real. They witnessed 8 minutes of a man dying in front of them. Well, at that point in time, I did something unprecedented. I mobilized the entire Minnesota National Guard, and that's what the president was alluding to with the size of the force was capable. But I think, again, Mr. President, you asked on explaining this, I would just say, it's going to be very difficult. There are bad actors in this, but there is such a legitimate anger. Our real dilemma here is the transition back is to the catalyst that sparked this across the country, and that was what happened with the Minneapolis Police Department. So what we did is a lot of this, what you saw yesterday, was engaging civic leaders and the peaceful protests. And I would just close with, I think the guidance is you got to get a handle on it with that force. That is absolutely correct. And then the transition in the next phase is trying to get those spaces for the peaceful protest. And I'm happy to do things that we have to look at of how do we get reforms.
But, Tim, it showed the incredible difference between your great state yesterday and the day before compared to the first few days, which was just...
Absolutely.
Never seen it.
Absolutely.
A police force and take it over. And I don't blame you. I blame them.
You know how we call Kamala and Hillary by their first names, but Obama, Biden, and Trump by their last names? That's not a coincidence. Studies have shown that people are twice as likely to use last names when referring to men than when referring to women, which is concerning because we've also been shown to perceive last name people as more important.
Fuck, he's just repeating what we said before. Is he going to deal with all the exceptions that we brought up, though?
For example, in academia, professors are perceived to hold higher status when we address them by just their last name. And yet, students on Rate My Professor are way more likely to call their male professors by their last name than their female professors. And even when we do refer to female professors by just their last names, they're usually perceived as less accessible, which doesn't hold true for men. In medicine, male doctors are way more likely to be called doctor by their colleagues, while female doctors are way more likely to be called by their first name. And yet that doctor title holds a perception of expertise and competence. Meanwhile, we do the same thing in professional sports. It's arena and
Thank you for spamming this in like 3 different chats. Thank you for all the people spamming this dog shit video. Thank you.
Who had people chanting, "Mind your own business," at this rally, literally forced everyone to close their business in the state of Minnesota during the pandemic.
Wow.
He was one of the worst lockdown governors in America.
Did you ever talk about Rob's use of AI to bolster his arguments during yesterday's debate? Will you ever be charitable to anyone in a debate if they pull out a... I think I'm probably done with talking with Rob. Yeah, that debate was a little bit... that was wacky. But that's good. We got all of our mega autismo debates out of the way for this particular thing. What are these H3 snark Reddit posts? Destiny is grooming Ethan Decline. This is just the H33 subreddit, the hater sub.
Yeah.
Ethan reacts to one of Hasanabi's fans being caught on Vitaly's predator catching streams. Says this is the face of...
But anyway, ultimately, shout out to all the Hasanabi heads. Even you.
Brutal.
Let's get it. Let's go.
I'm telling you though, this is that karma.
Israel invaded, including Benny Morris, committed the most horrible atrocities.
This intro music, bro. You got to have them screaming or something. My God.
Do
we really need this distorted lecture?
Mr. Morris, you are not the moderator. Piers Morgan is the moderator.
I have never said anything.
Hi, what's up, babe?
Hey, man. Are we good?
We're always good.
I have COVID, bro.
Why? Oh, because... Wait.
No.
Yeah, damn. Well, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I got to speak up for my boy Rob.
Oh, yeah?
What is it that he did that bothered you the most?
Let's see. Interpreting the numbers as intimidation was fucking retarded.
Yeah, but you got him on that point.
Yeah, I don't care. The fact that he even made it was fucking stupid. The idea that if you...
Not a way. People say ridiculous things to you and you're...
It's not about it being ridiculous. I'm sorry, let me be more clear. He's obviously engaged in motivated reasoning because he knows that if he bites the bullet on literally anything, every single thing he's saying falls apart. So the crowd thing was ridiculous. Him pretending that he'd read a response paper into him pretending that he read the original paper into him admitting that he was Googling AI summaries was ridiculous.
Can I say one thing about that, though?
Uh-huh.
You're not going to like this, and you might kick me. But I just want you to know I say this with all love.
Okay.
You told a flagrant lie.
What was a flagrant lie?
You said you had read that opinion. You ain't never read that Colorado Supreme Court opinion.
I'm pretty sure I did.
You're bullshitting. Come on, man. You ain't never read that shit. You read like a couple passages.
I'm pretty sure I don't remember which debate it was for. Hold on. You understand that you've been on here and you pretended you've read stuff you haven't read before, right? Like, for instance, when we did the whole J6 debate and you hadn't read even the executive summary of that, and you told me over and over, no, you didn't, because when we were debating and I was arguing over, I don't know if Trump had the responsibility or not, it took me actually reading through it to find like, oh, you know what, this is fully convincing, and you didn't cite any of that, even if it was in the executive summary. So, no. There's a reason why I brought up over and over and over again why the 3-point test of the Colorado Supreme Court ended up using. I don't remember because this came from like months ago, but I'm pretty sure I did read this. I don't remember if it was in preparation of the Greenwald debate or something else, but regardless, I read more of it. Even if let's assume that I only had read 2 pages, that's still more of it than Rob read.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, I think both of you didn't read some things. I think it was evident both of you were saying some wrong things about different things.
Like,
I'm not here to...
hold on. Oh my God. Wait, the both siding is insane. Holy shit. You're talking about a guy that was giving me AI-generated answers, okay? You're talking about a guy that was giving me AI-generated answers. And you're saying that you, like, I don't think even you read that entire Paulson and Baud paper, by the way, which I did read the entire thing of, okay, and took notes of it, okay? Also, I don't think you read that entire amicus curiae that you sent me, because there were points in that I brought up, okay, that you didn't even know about beforehand as well, so fuck you, okay? I read all of these things. Fuck you. I sat here, read them. Most of it I read on stream. Rob has not read a single one of any of these things, right? He hasn't read any of these cases. He didn't read the 48-page the amicus brief. He definitely didn't read the Supreme Court thing for Colorado. He didn't read a single one of the fucking things that he brought up on stream, right? You agree with that? He didn't read any of them, right?
He read some things that were key.
What key? Wait, what do you think he read?
He read the holding of the definition of the Colorado Supreme Court.
The holding of the definition.
Yeah.
What? Hold on. What do you think he read?
Are you mad at me, bro?
Because what you're saying is ridiculous. Wait. What do you think he read?
He read the holding of the Colorado Supreme Court with respect to the definition of insurrection.
So if I look up, you think that's going to be like in an executive summary, like in a page somewhere, or do you think that he found...
The reason he knows it is because I flagged it for him months ago.
Okay, so what he read was probably either pictures or he was linked to one page to read a particular thing.
That's fair. Hey.
But that's different than saying that he read the entire holding, right?
I'm not saying he read it.
Let's assume that he did read it. He wasn't citing it accurately at all.
I agree that he cited it for some ridiculous point.
Not some ridiculous point. He cited it disingenuously.
His point was, how can there be a consistent definition if this has different words than the other one?
No, that wasn't his point. Try again.
It was his point.
It wasn't.
That the...
What did he say that the Colorado Supreme Court said?
Supreme Court cited to multiple different historical definitions, and his point in further into that was, therefore, how can you say there's an all-encompassing definition if they're citing to multiple that are...
Nope, that's not what he said. Try again.
That is what he.
No, he didn't. He said the Colorado Supreme Court didn't even bother to define it. That's what he said. Do you remember him saying that? Or do you want to rewatch the VOD?
Well, he did say that, but that's his point.
No, what? No. You can't fabricate a point. And even saying that that's disingenuous. They didn't settle on a definition. What they said was they didn't have to spell out every single case that might be an insurrection and create an all-encompassing definition, but they had agreed that through all the ones they looked through, regardless of what definition you would settle on, the analysis that the lower courts engaged in for January 6th would fit that criteria.
Yeah.
That's meaningfully different than even your fabricated steelman of a thing that he never said, by the way. That's even...
I'm not fabricating
You
anything.
are. He never said what you just said.
That was his point. His point was that the Colorado Supreme Court... This is essentially his point. How can you be so sure about your definition if the Colorado Supreme Court doesn't just pick it? And I agree with all your counters. All your counters are good and clean. I'm not here to defend his substantive points. I'm here to say... The man is confused. He has some confusion.
Not confused. He's functioning. He's operating very coherently, very soberly, in bad faith. The idea that if you plan to break into a place with an armed guard, you're not planning on committing violence? Really?
Oh, well, hang on. So there was one point I thought you were wrong about there. So I do agree that there are some times when you can read into people's like possessions of weapons. I do think that breaking and entering is violent. I think everything he had to say about that was ridiculous. But it's not coextensive that because you bring a weapon that you're premeditating violence. I understand what you're getting at, that people will read into the fact that you're carrying a weapon as very strong evidence of an intent of premeditation, but it's not necessarily one-to-one. I don't think that his definition is good either way, but I just...
If you had to say who's closer to accurate there...
In terms of who is correct about the point of intent being different than just carrying a weapon, I think he is correct that just having a weapon isn't the same as intending to use it.
No one said, no, not just having a weapon, but having a weapon for self-defense when you go to commit a violent crime where you know the other person is likely to fight back.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you're intending to use it, or you might bring it. You might bring it hoping that you don't have to use it. So that's the difference. I understand. It's a little tiny difference, and it's one where as applied doesn't matter because the break and entering is violence anyway. And I'm just here to tell you there were some points where, I thought he wasn't necessarily coming in bad faith and where I could see his side a little bit. On the whole, I totally agree with your perspective, but I just don't think you should put him on the blacklist. I think he's a worthy...
It wasn't. It was the whole conversation was essentially a waste of time.
Wait, he was following what you wanted to talk about. And then you hung up on him.
No, hold on.
When he wanted to go to where he wanted to go. Come on, man. I'm just trying to... Oh, are you mad?
It's like, no, it's such an unbelievable, but okay. All right.
You mad?
No, it's a wild... It's a wild take, but...
What's a wild? I mean, I agree with you on the substance.
I don't care if you agree with me on the substance. We're not arguing about the substance. We're arguing about the meta, the conversation. The conversation was like very obviously approached in the worst faith possible. Him saying that the protesters outside Kavanaugh's house, when they said no peace, that's an intent for violence. But when Giuliani says trial by combat, and when Donald Trump was talking about like fight like hell, you're going to lose your country, that could just be protests.
Yeah, that's the reductio ad absurdum, where those are points where you just won and the audience saw.
No. You're talking about the debate points. I'm talking about the approach to the debate. There's a difference between saying I made a better point versus he was clearly functioning in bad faith. As in, if the situation were different for any other applied circumstances, he would never be making these arguments, ever. Him owning multiple times saying that, in the year 1800, the federal government probably would have called it an insurrection if 1,000 people protested. Yeah. It's not about, you keep going back to this. Wait, holy shit, am I getting gaslit by everybody?
Maybe.
Do you understand? Hold on. What am I saying? What am I saying that my problem is?
Your problem is that he's approaching it with motivated reasoning.
Yes. So I don't know why you keep saying you destroyed him. That's not relevant. Whether I won or lost the argument isn't relevant. What I'm saying is that he's engaged with motivated reasoning. He's making arguments that no sane human being would ever offer up in a conversation. That's my issue.
So what you're saying is the argument is so absurd that it now is bordering into...
On its face, yes.
Okay.
But I don't think reasonable minds could disagree there. I think it's I think that's obviously the case. Obviously the case.
Yeah, maybe it's just me having so many conversations with Rob. And listen, I've been in the trenches and Jamal Bowman conversations and these kinds of things all the time. I do think that he is deluded. I do think that he's wrong. I do think that he engages in motivated reasoning, but I don't think that it's necessarily intentional. I think he really thinks that your definition is so broad, and he's not really like equipped to.
That's fine that he thinks that, and he can have that feeling. But like, listen, I'll admit I haven't read a paper. There is a paper. There's supposed to be a big reply paper to that Paulson and Bod thing. Yeah, there's one big one that I'm aware of that I haven't actually read. He could have read that one and given me the responses there. I probably wouldn't have been able to debate the fucking scholarly response to this paper. It might have been Blackman and Tillman. I know there's one big paper that was written in response to this. But I mean, like, just the fact that he would say like he read a response paper when he's asking Claude.
That's a bad situation.
No, that's not. That's bad faith.
That's a bad situation.
That's like
using it. Listen, because AI will just invent cases.
No, it's not about the. Why do you keep going to the substance? You're missing the point. Okay, you're. It's not about. It's not about that. Okay, it's about the fact that he would even do that and then claim something different.
So did he claim he didn't use AI?
Oh, the first claim that he made was that he read a response paper. And then that, after he read through it, and I asked him what he was reading, then he read that it was, then he had to Google the name of the paper, for the sweeping whatever bullshit. And I'm like, well, that's the paper. And he's like, oh, I was reading then he changed it to like a review of it. I don't know, somebody can link it in the stream. And then eventually he linked me what he was saying. And then he was saying like, oh, okay, well, here's what I was reading. And I'm like, wait. And then I look and it's like, it looks like you literally just Googled the question. Does Paulson and Bod's paper a definition of insurrection include state? It sounded like he Googled that question, and then this was what the AI summary was.
Oh, so you think that he actually was hiding the fact that he used AI?
I don't think he was. I know he was. Yes.
You know he was?
Because he originally said that he had read a response paper.
He might have. Yeah, that's a pretty good point, man. But I don't know. Maybe it's just my field. Maybe it's COVID brain. It could be COVID brain. But part of me right now just felt very, very Rob Knorr sympathetic.
I think Rob's a nice guy, but like he genuinely believes that in the year 1800, a protest with 1,000 people would be called an insurrection.
Yeah.
Like he was reading that paper in the context of that paper. Oh, well, they're just saying that just having a lot of people counts as intimidation.
Here's the good faith interpretation of that. What he's saying is the quote from that thing says intimidation by numbers. It doesn't use the word intent, and intimidation, is by necessity. If you have a lot of people, it's going to intimidate people. And so the plain use of that word would mean that because so many people would inevitably intimidate, that anything could be labeled intimidation. And it's just like if it were disturbance of the peace, that the reason that they use this kind of
did you clerk for anybody when you after law school or in law school, like when you're preparing stuff, do you ever have to prepare like look up case or whatever? Like would it ever work in any legal thing ever where you quote like one sentence out of a thing and divorce it from the entire rest of the court case and pretend that you've given like
he's not trained. Yeah,
it doesn't matter if he's not trained or not. Even a layman should be. I'm a layman. Even a layman with no law understanding at all would say like, oh well, we should probably read like at least like what this case is about, rather than claiming one sentence is because, and if not, because this would be like the layman check, okay? So you read the sentence like, wow, that's actually pretty surprising. You would think that your next would be like, well, how would this impact America in the 1800s if my reading was correct? And that's my next question. So do you think that all protests against the federal government would have been illegal in the year 1800? And then he says, yes. No shot does he believe that. He can't possibly believe that. But he has to say it for the rest of his argument. Yes, he's lying about that. He knows that's not true. He's lying about that.
Okay. I'll bring that stuff up to him. I'll bring that up.
Okay.
That's a decent point, Steven.
Wait, oh my God, I didn't even read this last fucking...
What is it?
Hold on. So he didn't even search that. I don't know how to use any of these chat bots because I don't fucking do this shit.
I don't use bots of chat. Oh, you just sent me something.
The bottom paragraph of the answer that he sent me was...
I'm sorry.
I sincerely apologize for my earlier mischaracterization of their position. Thank you for your persistence in seeking clarification. It's crucial to accurately represent scholarly arguments, especially on such significant constitutional issues. Was I debating a bot? Was he literally typing my points into the fucking debate? What the fuck?
Maybe it was just one thing. He could have taken an image of that one thing. I don't know. That's what he said. He said that he had taken this image before. I don't know. Oh, maybe we can uncover. My guess is he'll be a little bit sensitive about the AI thing since you did get him with that.
And look at how he's typing. He literally is abusing the bot. I sincerely apologize. This bot is like traumatized by how aggressive he's being. Even in the debate, he's even bad faith against the bot.
Stop, man. You don't know what he said.
The bot is apologetic. I'm so sorry, human. I sincerely apologize.
They always say that after you try to beat them over the head once or twice. Oh. We can get to the bottom of this, though. I mean, have you ever used AI for arguments?
No. I don't even know how to... I don't even know how to use these. By the way, I don't even think it's bad to use it, but at least be honest about it. Well, I do think it's bad to use it, but if you're honest about it, then, I mean, it's bad in the way that, like, Wikipedia can be bad. Like, there might be a better interpretation or better source, but as long as you're honest about what you're doing, it's whatever.
Well, bro, I had a lot of issues with how both of you approached that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And I was a little
Just like
bit,
I have issues with Kamala and Trump, you know? I have issues with both of them.
Oh, yeah? Wait, did you really not support Kamala's policies?
I said I don't even know if I would. She's probably further left than me, but we only have one side with policies right now, so.
Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah.
Sorry to disturb you, man. I mean,
shut the fuck up.
I just think that you should. I just think that you should take a second before writing him off forever. I don't think he's in the same category as Andrew. For example, I think that Andrew, what he did to you was way more dishonest than what Rob did to you.
I don't know. If you watch the first like hour and a half of my conversation with Rob, I am being like disgustingly good faith when I'm trying to like figure out like, hey, what's your definition of like this thing? Like, hey, and every time I would ask, when you say this, what do you mean by this? And he's like, well, that wouldn't apply to gender sex. I'm like, we're not talking about that. I'm just trying to figure this thing out. And I'm like, listen, if we settle on a definition for this and then you find out later on that it doesn't work, we can go back and reform this. Like, that's fine. We can go back and change any of this. That's totally fine. I don't care. That's okay. We can redo it. And after I did all of that, his entire conversation with me was like, well, since you said this fucking thing, that means that this, and it's like, it's like not even close to the same approach on both sides. Like, why would I waste my time with somebody like that?
He's like someone wants. You ever see the greased up deaf guy, Family Guy?
Sure.
He's like the greased up deaf guy. He just wants to.
Yeah, but like, why would I waste my brain? Like, I would have been better. I could have been better off just doing 4 hours of research or betting like a larger, more serious debater.
It's fun. It's a meme. It's good.
It's not.
It trains you.
It's not training me for anything. For like, I think if there were like actual flaws or holes in my argument, I think Andrew or Rob could train me for it because he helps in terms of like figuring that shit out. How the fuck is this guy claiming to have read so much shit about this and he doesn't know anything?
He's not.
What?
He didn't claim to read a whole bunch of things. He said that he read like. He glanced over things that I sent him. You didn't even glance over things I sent you because I sent you a bunch of this shit and you didn't even look at it. Motherfucker.
You understand that I literally read the entire amicus brief that you sent me on
that
stream.
One you did read. That one you did read. The other
What else do you think you sent me that I didn't read?
Well, so for example, he referenced the Coy Griffin decision where they use Graeber's definition. I sent you that. I told you that was important to look at because they do a lot of analyzing. And I sent you the direct examination of Graeber where they're like literally asking a bunch of questions. It's like a debate bro session. And I said that you should read it. Just saying. I do want to glaze you a little bit though. There was another.
Oh, never mind. Okay, hold on. Okay, in Peace Code's defense, he did send me 3 links. I see these now. You were spamming me with lots of things. Okay, I see it. Okay, one of these was it was a 44-page thing, a 49-page thing, and a 192-page thing. Just curious, how many pages of all this do you think Rob read?
Maybe 3 or 4.
Okay.
Pages of
Probably, I would guess maybe 2 paragraphs would be my guess, but okay.
Yeah. Wait, can I also one other thing? I also sent you a statute from Iowa, which does define insurrection differently as 3 or more people engaged in and so that was good to your point about how states can be different, where there has been a prosecution in Iowa for insurrection with a significantly different definition. You need at least 3 people, and so just another reason you should read my links. But you know that's neither here nor is it there. What I do want to glaze you about though is, and you had a really great point on this, when you got him to say that overthrow the government meant stop taxes sometimes. That was a really good
Jesus
point.
Fucking
And
Christ.
those situations, I think, you should take them as wins. As
But
like
it wasn't.
victory.
But we didn't even get to anything of substance. But
Okay. Well, I just thought that was a good situation. We have Josiah here as well.
what do you
That's
want,
right, of
shit,
course you
Saya?
Whoa! Damn, I'm catching strays. I thought that was reserved for Pisco. Listen, I too suffered during your Rob Noor debate because when he sent you that screenshot, I paused the VOD. I was listening on my phone. I paused the VOD on my computer. I was like, you know what? I'm going to help Steven out. I'm going to Google this. I'm going to type this shit out. And I'm going to find this source. And I spent like 15 minutes on it. And then finally
No,
I told
you
Chad.
Wait, for
I
which
was
thing
like,
are you
guys,
talking about?
That fucking screenshot he sent you, which was
yeah.
apparently AI.
Yeah.
So, like, I had no idea. And so finally I went to chat and I'm like, guys, my Google foo has failed me. I can't find it. And they're like, dude, it's AI. So I too suffered on your behalf. So you listen. You can keep your aggression for Pisco, but I deserve nothing but love and respect.
True. Thank you.
How do we
Josiah.
feel about the election, boys?
Good memes.
Yeah, I'm
It's
trying
all
to think of
good.
what can fuck up. I feel like
I mean, we
feel
can still
like-
lose. People are like, Pisco is so he's so amazing, pink pilled or whatever the pill is. What you think you're gonna win? We can still definitely lose.
Fuck yeah.
I think there's one spooky thing that's lurking. I have this link open, but I haven't listened to it yet. But the text is Joe Rogan announced he supports RFK Jr. over Trump. He is the only one that makes sense to me. If all the retards online, the retarded quote centrists, the anti-establishment dipshits, start to peel off Trump and support like RFK, ooh, that would be pretty.
Landslide?
What? I don't know if it'd be a
Landslide?
landslide, but that's spooky. That losing.
Did you hear about the bear story? That's one of the craziest.
What
things
the
I've ever
fuck,
heard.
bro? These guys are. That's such a weird, bizarre fucking. What the fuck? What the
He was
fuck?
going falconing. Oh, there's a really great clip on who's the pod save guy? John something Levitt.
John
Something,
Favreau and John
whatever
Levitt.
whatever his name is. He did a great bit on this, but the guy was going falconing on Sunday morning, and according to him, a woman in front of him, he was able to tell the gender apparently, hit into a bear and like killed it. It doesn't even make sense starting there. Like, what are you talking about? Like, did you see the woman in the car? So it's already not making sense. He goes, picks it up, puts it in the back of his car, goes falconing for like 10 hours, and just leaving there in like 60-degree weather to bake in his trunk.
Disgusting. What the fuck?
And then he's like, "Oh, I have to go to dinner in Brooklyn." And so he drives, according to him, he drives directly from falconing in like the north part of New York or like a more northern part of New York, drives like 2 hours to Brooklyn to have a steak dinner, which goes on a long time. And then he says, "Well, I had to catch a red-eye flight, and so I decided to go out of my way to Central Park and spend another hour driving to have this
and with a bike in his car that he said somebody asked him to get rid of. Like, it's such a what did he fuck this bear? Like, I'm so curious. What the fuck is the actual story that this happened? Like, it's such a weird, stupid, crazy.
Was this during the brainworm era? Because I don't know anything about this. Was this before
He
the
blames
brainworm
this on the brainworm, I think, or I think that might have
As
been where
one
he
does.
got the brainworm. But he's telling all this to Roseanne Barr, who's like looking at him like can't even, and she's insane, right? Like,
she's fucking nuts,
she's
bro.
crazy.
She is the
She's looking
craziest
at him
MAGA
like,
celebrity.
"Why am I here? Who is this guy? Why did he pick up a dead bear?" I just don't understand how this story makes any sense at all. I mean, he's also a liar. There's a John Oliver thing on him that I think would be of interest as well. Anyway, I'm gonna go, but
Whoa! I
what's
came
up?
in here to get hyped up about the election as the resident cynic, and you're gonna fucking leave. You're
I'm
out
the
there.
cynic? Or you're the cynic?
No, I am. You're the cheerleader out there sharing the memes, trolling MAGA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you can just stick around for just a second. So Steven, I will say, going back to your Rogan RFK thing, some positive news, right? Is that I think it was a Marquette Law School poll just came out, and they're like a highly rated pollster, and they said that even in a multi-party race, like with RFK, Harris still leads. Now, obviously, that can change.
Oh, I'm sorry. When I was bringing up the RFK thing, I meant that was good for us. That's good for our side.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
So I said it's spooky for if all the anti-establishment dipshits start peeling off for RFK
Yeah.
instead of Trump, then Trump has lost like his whole support base online.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, no, then head to head, and then in a multi-party race. Yeah, she's currently winning. The fundraising numbers have been staggering. Pisco, did you see that? 310 million in July, which is more than double what Trump raised.
It's a lot. There's a lot of hype. And I now understand MAGA. I now understand your whole crowd size thing. You know?
Dude.
I get it. I was wrong.
Wait, no, did you see? So Trump had a fucking press conference today, and that came up, and he lost his shit.
I'm so
He's
glad
like-
you brought that up because you lied
Yeah.
about my. You lied. I had 107,000 people.
I had 10, 20, 30 times her crowd size, and you all don't say anything. And then he goes on to say, he's like, I mean, Martin Luther King Jr., you know, they say he had 1 million people, but if you look, I mean, I was there at the same real estate, and I probably had a little bit more, let's be honest. Love Martin Luther King. Oh, God.
Holy shit.
I don't
What if
know.
Trump, this might be the winning move. I have no idea. What if Trump just drops Vance and then he drafts MLK as his running mate?
MLK?
Or not MLK, I'm sorry, RFK. He brought up Martin Luther King.
Jesus Christ.
The ultimate anti-establishment ticket.
Why do men feel the need to make their Trump impression known?
I will never apologize for that. Okay, listen, I have 2 impressions, and the other one is Jordan Peterson or Kermit the Frog. They go hand in hand. They're interchangeable. So the RFK thing is interesting because I don't know if you saw this, Stephen, or Pisco, but there's like this phone call. There's video footage of it where Trump calls RFK and basically he's like tries to get him to drop out of the race. You know, we'd love to have you on the team, like a cabinet position. And obviously there have been reported just in terms of like donors and campaign officials on the RFK campaign where they publicly said that their goal is to just stop Biden, right? So one of his top campaign officials got busted like at this event saying that, you know, we want RFK to win, but, you know, worst case scenario is going to throw Biden out of the race, and that's really what the ultimate goal is. So there's like an incestuous relationship between the RFK campaign and the Trump campaign. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up dropping out and endorsing Trump.
Sure. Do you think he's going to toss Vance?
No, he can't.
No, I mean, he could, but I think that, no, I don't think so. I think that would be a sign of desperation.
The guy's such a loser.
It seems like Vance is just getting like slaughtered. Like, I don't know if I've seen, but it could also be my media bubble or media sphere, but I don't know who's like big on Vance. I don't know who likes him or who supports him or who, like, it seems like he's getting hammered from all ends in the media.
What makes you happy? A lot of things make me happy. But right now I'm angry. Like, that's such a layup question. You could be like, my kids, fucking, I don't know. There's so many good answers to what makes you happy. Puppies make me happy. He's just a weirdo. Everyone's a weirdo in MAGA.
True.
Yeah, no, they really are. And right now, I mean, they're scrambling to find something on walls. I think right now the one that I've been seeing the most is the stolen valor thing. They're going after.
Oh, can we debunk that real quick?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Okay, this is the debunking. Ready? Because I love debunking the narratives. Those of you who follow me on X, Twitter, you know I love debunking narratives. So the narrative is, number one, he has stolen valor because, one, he lied about being a veteran of Operation
Enduring Freedom or some bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, but he deployed abroad in I think Italy, Turkey, and other places in Europe, specifically for support or logistics. I think it was for support or to literally guard in connection with and explicitly for Enduring Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom. And so it's so insane to me that you would define like who's a veteran of an operation based on whether or not you were in a specific combat zone. That's not the definition of veteran that I would use. Again, all these like ultimately become about definitions, but if you were deployed as part of an operation and you're serving in the military, I think it's fair to say that you were a veteran of whatever the operation was that you deployed for. I think anything other than that is like a stupid standard. Number one. Then number two, the whole thing about like, well, he left before they deployed in Iraq, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
When actually he was going to run for Congress, and there was maybe like a rumor that they might be deployed in Iraq, but you know, who knows whether they're going to be deployed or not. They don't get a lot of notice of that. And he submitted months before they were actually given the orders to please leave the military after serving 24 years.
Well, wait, unless I misheard you because my headphones cut out for just a second. I read that not only did he submit his his resignation request, but also that it was granted before the order was given for them to deploy. So it's not like he was pending resignation, then got the orders that they were eventually going to deploy. It was the whole thing was fucking finalized.
And then number 3, so that's already debunked. We just debunked both those two narratives, like completely debunked. So anything about him being a veteran is completely true. Everything about him leaving before they deployed is true, but it wasn't because he didn't want to go, or because an order was given, and he left because of the order. It wasn't that chronology. And then number 3 is he said that in connection with some conversations about gun control, he said these are the weapons that are carried in war. Okay. What he's referencing there are the types of weapons. He's not pretending to be a combat veteran. I believe he had guard duty and he used these weapons.
Yeah, and I was going to say also, I don't know if this is true or not. Somebody can correct me. But when you said these are weapons you carry to war, I'm pretty sure that any time you serve in the military and you go to any military base, you have a firearm and stuff assigned to you, right? You have these from base to base. These are weapons that you train with or carry or do whatever duties with. It's not just people that are in forward combat positions that have rifles and stuff assigned to them. I'm pretty sure. No,
I think that's true, and I think he literally knows how to use these weapons. He trains with these weapons. He had these weapons. So I don't understand what the basis is to think that what he was saying, which was the point, was we should have more restrictions on these kinds of guns. He wasn't trying to paint himself as a combat hero. And if there is some clip that we don't know about where that's happening, good, and we can criticize him if that happens. But that's such a stretch to say, well, because of that, he is.
Oh, some people are saying that you don't have a weapon automatically assigned to your base. Oh, okay. I feel like I'd heard that before.
And then finally, to wrap this all around in a bow, any of these motherfuckers care about deference and respect to the military after everything that Trump has done, all of the
biggest meme is how he can compare to a guy. Didn't Trump do the bone spurs draft dodging?
You got to deferment.
So that seems kind of
talking shit about McCain.
Yeah,
when McCain was captured, to pretend that these people give a rat's ass about any of this is beyond me. That's my debunk.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw this too. I was going to link it to Steven, and then I forgot. But Cenk was on whatever the fucking YouTube channel that Ryan Grimm co-hosts. They have a debate. Cenk Uygur has a debate with a pro-Trump guy, and I think it's one of Cenk's best performances. It was really, really funny. He was on point, but that came up a lot in Trump's military record and stuff. It's definitely worth your time as a wildly entertaining debate. But I don't know, man. I'm hyped for Walz. He was my personal favorite as we discussed Pisco in terms of just his record.
He was my favorite too.
Do you think electorally though they would have been better off with Shapiro? Because I think that's still an open question.
No, I think that. Maybe. I mean, I'm not willing to say 100% yes or no, but I think that it was a bold choice. I think that it wasn't a safe choice. It was a choice that was I want to have someone that I'm compatible with. I want to continue with the energy. And I think that choosing energy and the tone of the campaign, especially when Steven has brought up, I think very saliently, that these campaigns have become more about not policy, but feelings, thoughts, and that kind of thing.
Vibes, meme energy, yeah.
Vibes. I was always, and we talked about this, I think, Josiah, I was always maximize memes, maximize vibes. And that's what I think he does. And I think that Zoomers, where are my Zoomers at in the chat? Generation Z, you guys are going to make all the difference because this entire campaign now is in a position to electrify you way more than it was before. After you've already been kind of politicized with the whole Palestine-Israel stuff, which you can put to the side for now, I think that these candidates make it so that you guys can feel genuinely excited. And I think Walz adds to that. And it gets people like just having Hassan, having Cenk, having all of these different sectors all kind of rah. I'm sure that must have an effect, if not on the actual polls, on people volunteering and all the other kind of signals in the whole media sphere. So I do think that this was a strong decision. And especially if you want someone to govern with, maybe the compatibility was just better for Walz. And so I like the choice.
Yeah. Well, last thing is I sent you both a link to, I think it's Lawfare or maybe it's Just Security. But Pisco, do you know a lawyer named Ryan Goodman? You follow him? Anyway, so he's like a big shit lawyer. I'm sorry.
200 followers. How many followers do you have?
Oh fuck, I don't know. But anyway, he's affiliated with either it's Lawfare or Just Security, but one of these like leading kind of
yes, I like him a lot. He has
yeah. So he and I don't know if it's Norm Eisen or a couple of others like went through the J6 Trump indictment. I haven't had a chance to dive into it, but I thought definitely would be in Stephen's wheelhouse since he's covering these court cases and the insurrection thing and the immunity case. And basically they color code all the indictments where they think things that would still stand alone and not be covered by the immunity ruling, like which would survive the recent Supreme Court unity ruling. And so I think it might be interesting for you all to check out if you ever get the time, like what will survive that sort of scrutiny and what's probably dead on arrival. So somebody actually.
I think you could still make the case without the stuff that they've ruled absolutely immune, and you can do it even without the Pence conversations because you have the public statements, right? And unless they're going to do a bully pulpit analysis where they're like, even his public statements are official because they're communications to the general public, which is obviously something that the president is historically able to do. I don't know. If that's the analysis, I think we're pretty fucked.
Sure. Well, the issue is also like for a criminal conviction beyond reasonable doubt, everything you peel off of that just weakens your case.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So if something moves somebody from like 99% to 95%, like you've lost your case, right? Like so it's just.
And I think that the DOJ stuff is some of the most compelling evidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a big it's a big problem. I don't think it's insurmountable, but I think it's a big problem. I honestly think that the case that has the most potential to go through is the Mar-a-Lago case still.
I don't even know what happened to that. I mean, I know she dismissed it, and I think Jack Smith didn't he file an appeal with the whatever circuit was it 5th Circuit?
11th Circuit.
11th Circuit. Do we even know what's up with that?
I thought most people were saying it's probably going to come back, but I mean now it's delayed until after the election.
It was always going to be delayed. I just think that like there was a period of time that Stephen was getting triggered every day with the criminal cases crumbling, and I don't know what her motivation. I can never know her motivation for issuing that opinion then, but it's I don't think it's going away.
Wow.
I think this case is very.
Wait, why'd she issue that opinion, Pisco?
I think she did it because, hey, I'm going to say it. I think that there's been enough evidence, and I think reasonable people can call into question her impartiality. And I think that she just doesn't like this case because she likes the plaintiff or likes to defend it.
Oh.
That's kind of.
Do you remember why she dismissed it?
Yeah. So it was because. Well, are you pointing fingers at Thomas now?
Okay, no, just making sure you read it. You got it. Good job. Just checking. Yeah, you got it. Good job. Okay.
By the way, you always have to notice how Stephen Darvos. It really is crazy. So when we were just talking about
the double Darvo, I got it. That's good. I'm used to this.
What he did was he attacked me. He said, "You didn't read any of this. Remember when you didn't read this? Remember when you did that?" It's abuser tactics.
Yeah.
And so this is a perfect example of it. And
True. The fact that you brought up Darvo first is an abuser tactic because you're weaponizing psych language. So.
Oh, but what if it's accurate?
Well, I guess we'll never know because you're being abusive. So get fucked. Okay, are we good?
All right.
Yeah, we're good.
Yep. Later.
Love
Bye.
you guys.